Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 581 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin, who had mixed in the 10,000 cultivator army, didn't attract too much attention. Only Yang Lu looked back at the 10,000 cultivator army as if she was looking for Wang Lin. But there were too many cultivators, and this place was covered in fog, so she didn't find him. Inside this fog, the Green Devil Continent cultivators flew forward with the two mid-stage void turbulent old men leading the way. As they moved forward, the fog was pushed back as if they wouldn't dare to get close. Even on the immortal astral continent, mid-stage void turbulent cultivators were like overlords that could support a medium-level sect. Even inside sects like the 9 sects and 13 factions, they would be the elites among the elders. Cultivators that could reach the mid-stage of void turbulent were extremely difficult to kill. They simply had too many life-saving treasures and spells. The two mid-stage void turbulent old men from the Green Devil Continent were named Zhong and Zhao respectively. Both came from two different devil sects, and as they attacked, the world trembled. Lu Wenren charged out and began battling the old man named Zhong in the fog. Thunderous rumbles echoed and spread out in all directions. Their battle caused a powerful wind that swept out, making it impossible for other cultivators to get close. The other mid-stage void turbulent old man named Zhao stepped forward and was about to join the battle against Lu Wenren. In his view, as long as they seriously injured Lu Wenren, then the rest of the cultivators here would be nothing to worry about. But just as the old man named Zhao moved forward, Yang Lu, Shudongda, and another early-stage void turbulent cultivator moved forward to block him. The three of them battled him together. If it was anywhere else, even if the three of them worked together, they wouldn't be a match for a mid-stage void turbulent cultivator. The difference in realms between void turbulent cultivators was great, like the difference between heaven and earth. Wang Lin with 7 essences could battle early-stage void turbulent cultivators, but even though he had 8 essences now, he still could only battle early-stage void turbulent cultivators and not shake mid-stage void turbulent cultivators. But inside the Heavenly Bull Meridian formation, as the fog entered their bodies, this changed. The three of them could just barely fight against the old man named Zhao. Although they couldn't win, they could stall him. With 4 people stalling the two of them, the two mid-stage void turbulent cultivators couldn't play their terrifying role in this battle. But there were still 4 early-stage void turbulent cultivators from the Green Devil Continent. These 4 people were 2 men and 2 women. They were dressed in expensive clothes and had extraordinary status. The 4 of them faced the same problem. There were still 3 void turbulent cultivators from the Heavenly Bull Continent that were like old ancestors. The 3 of them had almost unlimited energy inside the fog, and they began fighting the 4 from the Green Devil Continent. The void turbulent cultivators began the first battle of this war. After that came the slaughter of the 2 armies. This slaughter was very chaotic as 20,000 people were fighting against each other. Vision was blocked by the fog and miserable screams echoed. Wang Lin moved like a ghost inside the fog. His head was down, looking at a compass in his hand. The compass was covered in dense, white and green dots that were constantly changing. The howling sounds continued to echo inside the fog. The flashes of spells were covered by the fog, but it could not cover the killing intent that erupted from within. Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and pointed to his right. With that, there was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword flew out. A Green Devil Continent cultivator suddenly walked out from the fog. He didn't even have time to react before the blood sword pierced his head. Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he continued moving forward. His targets were not these Green Devil Continent cultivators but the void turbulent cultivators. Wang Lin quickly moved through the battle with a layer of black fog around him. This black fog was different from the formation, it was filled with ferociousness and there was a scarlet tongue swaying inside. After closing in on the 7 early-stage void turbulent cultivators' battle, Wang Lin slowed down. In the end, he stopped tens of thousands of feet from their battle. He stood there and his eyes shined. It is very difficult to kill early-stage void turbulent cultivators. Such a cultivator is almost impossible to kill. Even with the Yisai puppet, it's not enough. Wang Lin was well aware of how difficult it was to kill a cultivator that had gone through the 9 arcane tribulants and entered the void tribulant stage. It was not the same as killing the cultivator named Qian and the man and woman under the flags at the Pill Sea. Those 3 were only at the 9th arcane tribulant, and although it seems infinitely close to void tribulant, the gap was too large. The 2 of them could defeat White Tiger and company, and in a specific environment, they could force them into a sorry state. After all, White Tiger and company's cultivation levels were close to Du Qing's, around 7th or 8th arcane tribulant. In the cave world, only Old Ghost Zon and the 7-colored Daoist were at the early stage of void tribulant. If they had fused with the 3rd soul and became the new 7-colored celestial sovereign, they would have reached peak mid-stage void tribulant. With Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he could kill people below void tribulant. But to kill a real void tribulant cultivator would take some preparation. Even on the immortal astral continent, the death of a void tribulant cultivator was rare. When it happened, it greatly impacted the morale of a sect. Not to mention the death of a mid-stage void tribulant cultivator. Not even the Great Soul sect was willing to suffer this kind of blow. Looking at the fog churning before him, he watched the 7 of them engaged in a life-or-death battle. It was extremely difficult for victory to be decided. In fact, it was almost impossible. As long as each one of them remained cautious, they wouldn't die. They would be injured at most. But Wang Lin was not anxious, he simply sat down. The black fog around him fused with the fog, making him difficult to detect. In addition, with 7 void tribulant cultivators fighting, it was very dangerous to get close. Only Wang Lin could safely come here and wait for an opportunity. He was waiting for a chance to kill an early-stage void tribulant cultivator in one go. Yi Sai can deliver a heavy blow, the blood sword can injure, the war spirit print can prevent escape. The mutilated illusion can create that moment. And the final blow will have to be soul origin fantasy. However, all of this can only seriously injure an early-stage void tribulant cultivator, not kill them. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he stared tens of thousands of feet into the distance. In a flash, several hours passed. The sound of slaughter didn't decrease but became even more intense. The death count on both sides was great. However, Wang Lin was still sitting there. He was waiting. Liu Jiyuan was an elder of the Devil Dao sect and had just recently reached the early stage of void tribulant, so he was quite famous in the Devil Dao sect. He was also a descendant of the sect master of the Devil Dao sect, so there were bloodline connections. He had joined the invasion of the Heavenly Bull continent with another elder named Xu Wei and 2 other fellow cultivators from the sect. They were currently battling 3 early-stage void tribulant cultivators from the Heavenly Bull continent. The other party seemed to have unlimited energy and used all kinds of spells. The 4 of them had their divine senses blocked by the fog and couldn't recover inside the fog. After several hours, they were showing signs of being pushed back. The chaotic battle between the 7 of them continued and thunderous rumble echoed. Liu Jiyuan had just reached the void tribulant stage, so he was starting to run out of celestial energy. The fog around him also absorbed a large amounts of his celestial energy. Damn fog! When will the messengers arrive? If this continues, then this war will be difficult to win. Liu Jiyuan's expression was gloomy. His hand formed a seal to form a black lotus that collided with a black dragon created by an early-stage void tribulant cultivator from the Heavenly Bull continent. Between the rumbles, Liu Jiyuan retreated without hesitation. He didn't need to speak, as his 3 companions knew his purpose. They quickly blocked the remaining attacks to give him a chance to consume some pills. After several hours of battle, it was inevitable that the 4 of them would need to recover celestial energy, or it would be difficult to continue. Liu Jiyuan's expression was extremely cruel. He cultivated a yin and yang double cultivation method that condensed the souls of female cultivation furnaces into a black lotus. Countless cultivation furnaces had died by his hand. In a flash, he retreated tens of thousands of feet. He waved his right hand and more than a dozen balls of light appeared before him. Inside each ball of light was a naked woman 3 inches tall. They all looked miserable. Liu Jiyuan didn't even look as he opened his mouth to inhale. However, just at this moment, not far from him, Wang Lin, who had been hiding, suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a cold gaze. He had waited for this opportunity for a long time, and someone had finally given him the chance. He is the one. Wang Lin's eyes revealed killing intent. The first promise he had made to the Great Soul Sect was to kill 10 early-stage void turbulent cultivators. Today, he would kill the first one. As Wang Lin moved forward like lightning, a ray of blood light appeared in his hand. The blood light cut down on Liu Jiyuan, who had his back toward Wang Lin. The blood sword's sharpness was unparalleled, and as it closed in, Liu Jiyuan was about to devour the dozen light balls. However, he suddenly felt a sense of danger and didn't hesitate to give up devouring the light balls. He waved his sleeve and a black lotus appeared behind him. The black lotus collided with the blood sword. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Liu Jiyuan suddenly turned around. His eyes were filled with killing intent. I want to see who dares to sneak attack me. However, just as he turned around, Wang Lin attacked. A roar filled with ferociousness came out of the fog around Wang Lin. Yi Sai, who had lost an arm, charged out like crazy toward Liu Jiyuan. All of this happened as fast as lightning. Several thousand feet only took a moment for Yi Sai to cross. The moment Liu Jiyuan turned around, Yi Sai arrived. Liu Jiyuan's expression changed. He clearly felt the fluctuations of an early-stage void turbulent cultivator in the black fog. His eyes revealed a look of terror. He naturally knew that this was a puppet. Without hesitation, he retreated and waved his sleeve. 7 black lotuses appeared before him and collided with Yi Sai. The thunderous rumbles attracted the attention of the 6 people battling in the distance. The expressions of Liu Jiyuan's 3 companions changed and they wanted to head over. However, they were stopped by the 3 cultivators from the Heavenly Bull continent. Due to the fog, they couldn't see what was happening, but they knew it was to their advantage. 7 black lotus flowers collapsed. Yi Sai let out a roar and its body was covered in wounds. However, its tongue penetrated the 7 black lotus flowers and landed on the Liu Jiyuan's chest. Fresh blood erupted. Liu Jiyuan felt pain from his chest, but he didn't have time to check. He didn't have much celestial energy left, and the fog was absorbing celestial energy from him. He had also created 7 lotus at that moment of danger, so he was almost completely exhausted. As he retreated, he waved his right hand and a ball of light appeared. He was about to devour it. Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and a white sail appeared in his grasp. As he waved his hand, waves of cries echoed and entered the mind of the injured Liu Jiyuan. Suddenly, the image of a woman in white appeared in his mind. Her back was facing him and she was crying. The moment the figure appeared, Liu Jiyuan's right hand holding the ball of light paused for a moment. The moment he paused, Wang Lin closed in and his hand formed a palm toward the sky. The fog rumbled and a giant palm print appeared, descending toward Liu Jiyuan. At the same time, behind Liu Jiyuan, there was a flash of fire. A fire palm print burned its way out of the fog and charged at him. All of this happened extremely fast. Wang Lin had planned this out in his mind several times. As the palm print closed in and Liu Jiyuan's mind was distracted by the cry, Yi Sai let out a roar as it charged back toward Liu Jiyuan. The blood sword also flew back and cut down toward Liu Jiyuan. All of the spells closed in, taking advantage of the fact that Liu Jiyuan was almost out of celestial energy. However, early-stage void turbulent cultivators were difficult to kill. Although Wang Lin's timing was very good, Liu Jiyuan's pupils shrank at this moment. He didn't hesitate to bite the tip of his tongue to spit out blood. This blood immediately covered his whole body, even his hair became blood-colored. His skin was also the same, and in a flash, he turned into a blood person. His arms hugged himself, and as the spells closed in, he suddenly opened his arms. Blood armor formation. As Liu Jiyuan's words echoed, the blood from his body dried up and turned into a suit of armor. At the same time, the blood armor on his body exploded into a blood storm. The moment the huge palm print touched the blood storm, it collapsed. The fire palm print behind him also collapsed when it collided with the blood storm. The blood sword flashed out and cut into the blood storm. The Yi Sai puppet also charged into the blood storm with a mad howl. All of this set off a heaven-shattering rumble. The moment the rumble began, Wang Lin stepped forward into the blood storm. This blood storm was obviously Liu Jiyuan's life-saving treasure. Now that it had resisted Wang Lin's various spells, it showed signs of collapse. Inside, Liu Jiyuan coughed out blood and his expression was fierce, but he retreated like crazy. As he retreated, his gaze was locked onto Wang Lin, but Wang Lin suddenly disappeared. His pupils shrank as he turned around and his right hand swung behind him. Wang Lin's figure walked out from behind him and threw a punch. This punch didn't have the ancient Dao shadow, but it was an ancient Dao punch. With a bang, Li Jiyuan's right hand exploded into blood and he was knocked away. Blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, but he didn't pause. He chased after Liu Jiyuan. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Wang Lin quickly followed and threw 19 punches. Liu Jiyuan's eyes were filled with fear. Wang Lin's pursuit was too fierce, and he didn't give him any chance to react. The punches caused him to be covered in blood, and he looked terrible now. This isn't enough to kill me. Liu Jiyuan understood that he was facing was a rare life-or-death crisis. The other party's timing was very good, it was obvious he had prepared for a long time. As he retreated, he took one of Wang Lin's punches and waved his left hand, taking out a black bell. This was the first time Liu Jiyuan had time to take out a treasure in his battle against Wang Lin, and it was his most powerful treasure. The moment the bell appeared, it began to release a crisp sound. As the ringing from the bell echoed, countless shadows of women appeared before Liu Jiyuan. They were naked, miserable, and filled with resentment. There were hundreds of thousands of them. As they spread out, they overlapped and their resentment fused together. This formed a powerful resentful aura that all the cultivators battling on the extreme sky prairie noticed. The battle between the 6 early-stage void turbulent cultivators became even more intense. The moment they felt this, their divine senses spread out, but the fog limited them. However, the 3 people from Green Devil Continent were very familiar with Liu Jiyuan's spells and treasures. At this moment, when they sensed the resentful souls, their expressions changed. They knew Li Jiyuan was facing a life-and-death crisis, or else he would never take out that treasure. The mid-stage void turbulent old man who was battling Yang Lu's group of 3 and the old man named Zhong battling Lu Wenran felt this. However, their divine senses were blocked by the fog, so they couldn't see. Lu Wenran's eyes lit up and his divine sense spread out. However, there was an invisible barrier around where Liu Jiyuan was battling, causing him to be unable to see who was battling Liu Jiyuan. Yang Lu and company experienced the same thing. The moment the resentful souls rushed out, Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He had prepared very well. Right now, he had only showed part of his hand and hadn't used the 2 real aces yet. At this moment, he pointed at the sky. A gourd suddenly appeared in his hand. It contained 30 million Dao souls, and if it exploded, it could threaten a mid-stage void turbulent cultivator, but he didn't command it to explode. He coughed out blood that quickly disappeared into the gourd, then the roars of 30 million Dao souls echoed. The 30 million Dao souls flew out and formed a blood road behind Wang Lin. Use my essence blood to summon the Great Soul Sect's ancestor. Break the void. Soul Fantasy Origin. Wang Lin's voice was calm but contained a strange force. At the end of the blood road, there was a huge vortex that seemed to fuse with the surrounding fog. As Wang Lin spoke, a blood figure slowly walked out from the vortex. Every step it took could cause the world to rumble. The monstrous resentment summoned by Liu Jiyuan's treasure showed signs of collapse when the blood figure appeared. Liu Jiyuan's expression changed and he pointed at the sky. The resentment immediately condensed to turn into the figure of a giant woman. Her body was composed of more than 100,000 resentful souls. All of their faces could be seen on her. The moment the figure formed, it opened its mouth and attempted to devour Wang Lin. At this moment, the figure of the 9th ancestor of the Great Soul Sect, Luo Yunhai, also walked out from the blood vortex. He raised his hand and monstrous killing intent appeared to form a red lance. He grabbed the lance and threw it. The lance collided with the figure formed by countless resentful souls. The moment they collided, the lance released a commanding light as if it was purifying them. The huge figure immediately collapsed and the resentful souls inside hissed. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Wang Lin's body trembled and he coughed out blood. He retreated more than 1,000 feet as the blood road behind him collapsed and the ninth ancestor disappeared. At the same time, the giant figure collapsed and blood erupted from Liu Jiyuan. He screamed and retreated. The collapsed shadow turned into countless resentful souls, and they seemed to be causing backlash on him. They drilled in and out of his body, causing Li Jiyuan's screams to become even more miserable. However, he was not dead, only seriously injured. Now he no longer cared about the war and was escaping quickly. God Tremble, Army Formation. Demon Spell, Wind and Fire Mountain. Devil Dao, Life and Death Reverse. God, Demon, Devil. Ancient Dao No Celestials. Liu Jiyuan's body suddenly collapsed 1,000 feet away from Wang Lin under his fist and fell to the ground. His origin soul distorted and shattered before Wang Lin's most powerful attack. Only his head was pulled back by a powerful force and grabbed by Wang Lin. After putting it away, Wang Lin disappeared. The moment Wang Lin disappeared, the entire battleground became silent. Liu Jiyuan's miserable scream before death echoed across the prairie. The old man named Zhong trembled and completely disregarded Lu Wenran as he retreated. Lu Wenrang's eyes narrowed as he heard the miserable scream before Liu Jiyuan died. A void turbulent cultivator has died? Li Jiyuan. The old man named Zhong quickly retreated and arrived at the place Liu Jiyuan had died. He saw the flesh and blood here, and his pupils shrank. He knew of the relationship between Liu Jiyuan and the Devil Dao sect master. This made his heart tremble. The old man named Zhao that was battling Yang Lu and company retreated without hesitation as well. While Yang Lu and company were shaken by the miserable screams, he arrived at the palace where Liu Jiyuan had died. Liu Jiyuan died. The three early-stage void turbulent cultivators from the Green Devil continent quickly retreated. Their faces were pale and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Everyone else who heard Liu Jiyuan's miserable scream before death all felt their hearts tremble, and their eyes were filled with fear. A void turbulent cultivator has died. That voice sounded like Elder Liu. A void turbulent cultivator has died. An uproar echoed. Void turbulent cultivators rarely died. Retreat. The old man named Zhong revealed a cold gaze. His divine sense spread out and then he quickly left. The people beside him followed. Lu Wenran didn't chase. He looked at the other retreating figures and pondered. The person who died must have had an extraordinary identity. But who killed him? Shu Dongda's gaze swept by and frowned. He didn't know who had killed the enemy void turbulent cultivator, but he was shocked. To kill a void turbulent cultivator in such a short period of time. Who is this person? Only Yang Lu's pupils shrank. She vaguely saw some clues, and her right hand trembled in her sleeves. It's him. As the void turbulent cultivators retreated, the remaining thousands of Green Devil continent cultivators all retreated with fear in their eyes. Return to the underground palace and form a tight defense. The enemy will definitely launch a second attack. We only need to stay in the fog and defend, don't chase them out of the fog. Lu Wenran waved his sleeve and looked around. Who would it be? He stepped forward as he pondered and fused with the earth. Shortly after, all the Heavenly Bull continent cultivators entered the earth after this sudden change and disappeared into the earth. Nearly 10,000 cultivators had left the underground below the prairie, but less than 4,000 people returned. These 4,000 people silently returned to their caves to prepare for the next battle. Wang Lin also returned with these thousands of cultivators. His face was pale. Although his battle against Liu Jiyuan was short, it was extremely difficult. He had calculated everything, including when to attack, the other party's reaction, taking advantage of when the other party's celestial energy was exhausted, and had the help of the fog formation. Only with all these conditions was he able to kill Liu Jiyuan. Even so, he was also injured. Waves of intense pain came from his chest, and he had to heal as soon as possible. This is the first void turbulent cultivator I have killed. Void turbulent cultivators are too difficult to kill. Wang Lin silently pondered. If not for the heavenly bull formation here, he won't have been able to kill him. No one else noticed that he had killed Liu Jiyuan. Wang Lin had expected this. In fact, when he attacked, he shrank the restriction to around them to prevent Liu Jiyuan from escaping. With the restriction, even if other people's divine senses had swept by, they wouldn't have been able to get a clear look. Even though he had used Soul Origin Fantasy to summon the Great Soul Sect's ninth ancestor, noticing the spell from outside the restriction was very unlikely. After all, Wang Lin had too many secrets and methods he didn't want others to know. It was natural to set up the restriction so others couldn't see everything too clearly. At this moment, every single cultivator underground was speculating who it was that had killed an enemy Void Tribulent cultivator. Lu Wenran, Yan Lu, and the remaining 4 Void Tribulent cultivators were inside the palace along with the 3 old men who had underestimated Wang Lin before. The 3 old men's expressions were full of shock. They felt obvious disbelief that someone had been able to kill a Void Tribulent cultivator. If Lu Wenran did it, then it would have been acceptable. Even if it was one of the other Void Tribulent cultivators, it would have still been fine. However, it was obvious that the person who had killed the Green Devil Continent Void Tribulent cultivator was not among them, so who was it? I didn't get a clear look. During the battle, the cultivator named Liu retreated to devour some pills and then the sounds of battle echoed. I tried to check it with my divine sense, but there was a restriction there. Once my divine sense entered, it was a blur and I couldn't see clearly. I tried to observe it with my divine sense and also found nothing. Those 3 Void Tribulent cultivators from the nearby sects all slowly spoke with doubt and fear in their eyes. Doubts about who had killed the enemy and fear for how much power was required to kill a Void Tribulent cultivator that could be considered impossible to kill. A cultivator that had passed through 9 arcane tribulants and entered Void Tribulent was said to be indestructible and undying. Undying because their lifespan was as long as the world itself. Indestructible because they were extremely difficult to kill. Who was it? One of the 3 old men who hadn't reached Void Tribulent and looked down upon Wang Lin muttered. It looks like there is an expert hidden among the cultivators out here. Lu Wenran's gaze swept through the crowd. He didn't believe any of these people here could kill a cultivator at the same level in a short period of time. As his gaze swept by, he suddenly thought about a person, and his pupils shrank. However, he soon gave up on such an absurd thought. It can't be him, he can't do it. Lu Wenran thought about Wang Lin. It's fine. Since this person isn't willing to show up, then there is no need for us to look. It's good for us, and maybe this person will show up soon. Lu Wenran's expression changed. Shudongda frowned and suddenly said, could it be that the person who attacked is not here and was merely passing by? The moment he said this, everyone suddenly began to ponder. Lu Wenran carefully thought about this and thought it was possible. After all, he didn't believe anyone else here could have done it beside himself. The same scene was taking place outside the fog around the extreme sky prairie. Thousands of Green Devil Continent cultivators were silently cultivating, and at the center of the group were the 2 mid-stage Void Tribulent cultivators launching an inquiry about Liu Jiyuan's death. It is not the first time a Void Tribulent cultivator has died in our battle against the Heavenly Bull Continent. However, this is the first time that have we watched one die without even knowing who did it. The old man named Zhong's expression was gloomy and angry, but it also contained fear. He didn't know how angry the Devil Dao sect master, who had his divine sense sealed and had been in closed-door cultivation for many years, would feel once he learned of this. Elder Liu's identity, some of the Void Tribulent cultivators on Liu Jiyuan's side whispered but didn't finish speaking. The old man named Zhao let out a sigh and slowly said, identity aside, all of you carefully think if there was something wrong. How could such a thing happen in such a short period of time? Elder Liu retreated to devour some pills. We were blocked by the fog, so we couldn't see anything. However, the sounds of battle began shortly after, and in less than 1 incense stick of time, the fight was over. My divine sense was unable to enter, as there was a layer of restriction blocking the area. However, I sensed Elder Liu take out his treasure and summon the countless resentful souls. They all began to recount what they remembered. Elder Zhao, I have made a discovery, a woman who had not talked suddenly said. The woman was among the 4 that had fought together with Liu Jiyuan. She looked hesitant, and when the old man named Zhao looked over, she clenched her teeth. What prevented us from using our divine senses, aside from the fog, was another restriction. That restriction should be the devil restriction, sect's devil isolation restriction. I have come in contact with this restriction before, so I shouldn't be wrong. After she spoke, everyone became quiet. Everyone's gazes locked onto the old man named Zhao. The old man named Zhao was someone from the Devil Restriction sect, which was one of the 3 major sects of the Green Devil continent. The eyes of the old man named Zhao lit up, and he slowly said, "I'm not good with the Devil Isolation restriction and I'm not familiar with it, so I didn't notice. But since you brought it up, I just remembered something. During the tragedy of the Pill Sea, after my Devil Restriction sect's investigation, along with reports from spies, the person behind it was a Great Soul sect elder named Wang Lin. And in the Pill Sea, an isolation restriction compass went missing. According to the central restriction, the compass was not destroyed." As the old man named Zhao spoke, he looked toward the depths of the extreme sky prairie. If that's the case, it is likely that he is the one who killed Elder Liu. Even if he didn't, there must be some connections. Wang Lin, killing intent appeared in the eyes of the old man named Zhong. He had to kill this person, or he wouldn't be able to withstand the anger of the sect master. This video will end here.